Today we are going to explain meaning of demand, demand curve, demand schedule, function of demand, and we'll know the determinants of demand. Before we explain the meaning of demand, let us know the terms desire, wants, and demand. How are these terms different from each other? In the common usage, we use the words desire, wants, and demand interchangeably. But in economics, they connote different meanings. Just an idea to have or to possess something is desire. So, desire means a mere wish to have a commodity. When we have means and are ready to sacrifice those means in order to fulfill that desire, it becomes a want. Means want is that desire which is backed by the ability and willingness to satisfy it. In demand, price, time, and place are also important. So these terms can be explained if you consider this example. Suppose a person merely thinks of having milk, then it is his desire. But if he has money and ready to sacrifice that money for purchase of milk, it becomes wants for him. Further, if at the price of rupees 40 per liter, he is prepared to purchase 2 liters of milk daily, then this we call as demand. So these three terms, desire, wants, and demand, are different. Now we can define the demand. The quantity of a commodity that consumers wish to purchase in the market in a given period of time and at a given price is called demand. If you consider the example, then you find that the person is ready to purchase 2 liters of milk at a price of rupees 40 per liter and the time is daily, then this becomes demand. What are the elements of demand? There are 4 elements of demand. First is quantity of the commodity. The amount of a commodity that households wish to purchase is called the quantity demanded of that commodity. Willingness to buy. Demand is a desired quantity. It is how much households wish to purchase, not necessarily how much they actually succeed in purchasing. So it is how much they wish to purchase, not necessarily mean that he will be succeeding in purchasing that amount of that commodity. How much he is ready to purchase. Next is price of the commodity. The demand for a commodity is always stated with reference to its price. With a change in price, quantity demanded may also change as more is demanded at lower price and less is demanded at higher price. Therefore, demand is meaningless without reference to its price. Fourth is the period of time. Demand is always expressed with reference to time. Even at the same time, demand may change depending upon the time period under consideration. For example, demand for umbrella is more in rainy season as compared to other season. Demand for woolen garment is more during winter, and demand for cotton clothes more in summer. This time frame might be of an hour, a day, or a month, or a year. So demand varies according to the period of time. These are the four elements of demand. Demand for a commodity may either with respect to an individual or to the entire market. Thus, demand is of two types: individual demand and market demand. Individual demand refers to the quantity of a commodity that a consumer or a household is willing and able to buy at each possible price during a given period of time. So it indicates individual consumer. Whereas market demand refers to the quantity of a commodity that all consumers, means all households in a market, are willing and able to buy at each possible price during a given period of time. So the main difference is an individual buyer and all buyers. Now let us know demand function. Demand function refers to the functional relationship between the demand for a commodity and the factors influencing it is termed as demand function. The factors which influence the demand are called demand determinants. Demand function can be mathematically expressed as dx is equal to function of px, pair, t, y, epx, n, w, s, and g. But is dx? Dx is the demand for good x. Px is the price of its own, that is price of good x. PR is the price of related goods. These related goods are of two types: substitute goods and complementary goods. At the later stage, we'll define substitute and complementary goods. T is the tastes and preferences of consumer. Y is consumer's income. EPX is expectation of further change in price of commodity. X means own commodity, own price. There is further expectation in change. N is the population or number of households. W is the distribution of income and wealth. S is the season and weather condition. G is the government policy regarding taxation and subsidies. Out of these, PX, PR, T, Y, and EPX are the individual demand determinants. That means these determinants affect differently to the different individuals. And these are N, W, S, and G are the market demand determinants. These determinants affect the market demand. These determinants will explain in our next video. All these determinants. What is the relation with the demand for a commodity and change of these determinants, and the effect on demand when there is change in any one of these determinants, keeping other determinants constant. We'll explain in our next video. Now, what is demand schedule? Demand schedule is a table showing different quantities of a good that consumers are ready to buy at different levels of prices. So it is a table. We have considered price of X good, Px in rupees, quantity demanded for X good, that is dx in units. We know that price and quantity demanded inversely related. And therefore, the table we have constructed as the price increased 1 to 2, 2 to 3, quantity demanded decreased from 3 units to 2 units and from 2 units to 1 unit. So as the price increases, quantity demanded decreases. This is called demand schedule. So it expresses the relationship between price of X good and quantity demanded for good X. Demand schedule is of two types. Individual demand schedule. It refers to a table showing different quantities of a good that an individual consumer or a household is prepared to buy at different levels of prices. We have considered two individuals, A and B. And we have got two tables. That is two individual demand schedule. One is for A, another one is for B. The price of good X is same for both the consumer. That is 1, 2 and 3. The demand is maybe different, maybe same. In this case, we have considered the different demand for good X for consumer A and consumer B. Consumer A demands 3 units when price is rupee 1, 2 units when price is rupees 2 and 1 unit when price is rupees 3. And consumer B demand 4 units when price is rupee 1, 3 units when price is rupee 2 and 2 units when price is rupees 3. So in this way we can construct all individuals demand schedule for a commodity at a given price when it becomes individual demand schedule. Next is market demand schedule. A table showing different quantities of a good that all consumers are prepared to buy at different levels of prices. Let us assume there are two consumers A and B and price of X is given 1, 2, 3. A's demand we know 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1 and B's demand 4, 3, 2, 4, 3, 2. How to get the market demand? The market demand is the total of individual consumers quantity demanded. That is, we get the market demand by adding quantity columns of individual consumers. So at rupees 1, the market demand, A demands 3 and B demands 4. So market demand 3 plus 4, 7 units. At rupees 2, A's demand 2 units and B's demand 3 units. So the market demand will be 2 plus 3, 5 units. At rupees 3, A's demand 1 and B's demand 2. So the market demand will be 1 plus 2 is equal to 3 units. This is this price and this is market demand. Tx market demand is the market demand schedule. Demand curve. What is a demand curve? Demand curve is a graphical representation of demand schedule showing the relationship between price of the commodity and its demand. Means when we'll plot the demand schedule in a graph, we'll get the demand curve. So let us use this schedule and we'll plot these values in a graph paper. Then we'll get this demand curve. For rupees 1, the demand is 3 unit. We'll get a point. For rupees 2, demand is 2 unit. We'll get a point here. And for rupee 1, demand is 1 unit. We'll get a point here. Now by joining this point, we'll get this curve. And this curve is known as demand curve. In this, we are measuring price in y-axis and quantity demanded in x-axis. This is a demand curve. It is a graphical representation. How their relationship is shown? When price increases, quantity demanded will decrease. If price decrease, quantity demanded will increase. So it shows that this is called the downward sloping demand curve. It represents that the price and quantity demanded inversely related. Individual demand curve. A graphical representation of individual demand curve showing the relationship between price of the commodity and its demand. Now there are two individual demand curve. A graphical representation of individual demand schedule showing the relationship between price of the commodity and its demand. In our schedule, we had two individual demand schedule A's and B's. When we'll plot this individual demand schedule, we'll get A's demand curve and B's demand curve. Now market demand curve. A graphical representation of market demand schedule showing the relationship between price of the commodity and its demand. Market demand curve is obtained by the horizontal summation of individual demand curves. Now, in our this is the market demand curve. When you plot this Px and demand, market demand, we'll get the market demand curve. This is the market demand curve. And this is the individual demand curve. And their horizontal summation is the market demand curve. How to draw market demand curve from given individual demand curves? Suppose you have been given two demand curves, A and B. Now from these two demand curves, we need to construct the market demand curve. Let us know how to construct market demand curve from given individual demand curves. So DA and DB are two individual demand curves. Now at OP2 price, A's demand is 1 unit, that is OX1, and B's demand is 2 units OX2. So the market demand at OP2 price, that is 4 rupees, market demand will be OX1 plus OX2 is equal to OX3. That means A's demand is 1 unit, B's demand is 2 units, so 1 plus 2 is 3 units. The market demand at OP2 or at rupees 4, market demand will be 3. And we have obtained the point M. If we extend the price line and the quantity line, we'll get a point here, and that point we have denoted as M. Again, at OP1 price, the demand for A's demand is 4 unit, that is OX4, and B's demand is 5 unit, that is OX5. So the market demand at rupee 1, that is OP1 price, is A's demand plus B's demand. A's demand is OX4 and B's demand is OX5. OX4 plus OX5, say it is OX6. At 1 rupee, A's demand is 4, OX4, and B's demand is 5, OX5. So the total will be 4 plus 5 is equal to 9. And we have assumed X4 plus X5 is equal to 6. And we have obtained the point N. Now by joining M and N, we get the required market demand curve. In this way, we can construct market demand curve from given any number of individual demand curves. That's all for today. Thank you.